Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We are continuing on with our Return to Yourself workshop. And as you come back into this mode of reconnecting, I want you to just try to settle into your space. So, wherever you are in your chair, on your yoga mat, on the ground, if you're standing, if you're laying down, just kind of re-arrive. Um, get yourself back settled in. We're going to do a cute, short little um, breath together and just reconnect to the moment. So we're going to make sure either our feet are flat on the floor, or if you want to put your back down and lay down, if you're sitting crisscross applesauce, just find that space where you are comfortably grounded to the surface beneath you. We're going to take one slow breath in and out. Let your shoulders relax. Let your body fall into the surface. And just notice that contact. You might notice your breath. See if you can relax a little more into the moment. Okay, and then just gently bring yourself back to, you can open your eyes if they're closed, and bring your attention back to the room. So, our next part of our workshop is focusing on rebuilding self-trust. And the issue that comes into play when we're talking about self-trust is the issue of self-doubt. So, those two opposites. And self-doubt shows up, you'll see it when you are second guessing yourself or ignoring that gut feeling that you have, or you start to kind of gaslight yourself and say, like, oh no, I'm being crazy. Those are signs that you are doubting yourself. And now, when this happens, it's a signal that we are losing connection to our intuition. And I want to clarify that doesn't mean that we've lost self-trust. It just means that we've overridden it for maybe so many years. We've overridden that self-trust with self-doubt that it's now covered. And we are just passing right by the self-trust and going straight into doubting ourselves. And so many of us learn to question ourselves to stay safe. Um, Unfortunately, there have been situations in our lives where somebody has made us feel like we have to doubt ourselves or to question ourselves in order to be safe in the environment. But today, we're going to begin reconnecting with our internal yes and no so that we can feel what that feels like, feel what the yes feels like, feel what the no feels like. And hopefully, then in the future, when we feel those yeses or nos, we can just notice them and move forward with a little more clarity. So, self-trust is something that is built. It's not something you either have or you don't have. You have to notice it and you have to be aware of it and you have to let it be. You have to let yourself be in order for us to actually trust that inner self. So, in controlling environments, maybe with a parent or a sibling or a friend, even in high school, maybe, or it could have been a relationship when you were either in high school or even as an adult. Okay, so in those controlling environments, maybe your no was ignored. Maybe you said no and then somebody either punished you or ignored it. Maybe your yes was formed out of fear of judgment or fear of some sort of punishment. If I say I want this, if I try to do this, I'm either going to be judged or I'm going to be punished or I'm going to be made to feel like an idiot. Okay, what's going to happen if you say yes? Maybe you don't want to say yes. So, what happens is your body still holds on to the signals, but you ignore them. So, the signals are still coming, but then we have learned to override those signals. And so self-trust is going to start with just building small moments of noticing, just like we did earlier, just noticing. You don't rebuild that trust by forcing decisions. You just have to listen. So, this repair that we're doing today is important. We're just noticing when we override ourselves. So I noticed this in myself in a past relationship, a very, very um, abusive relationship. I knew that my partner was doing something behind my back. I knew that he was seeing somebody else, and I had that feeling inside myself. But there were so many times where I was told that I was crazy or, I was just making things up, or probably I was the one doing it and I was just projecting that onto him. So, so there have been moments where I knew, like, I know that I know this, but I just overrode that and said, okay, I'm just going to keep trusting this other person because obviously I'm probably crazy. And so eventually I got to a point where I just ignored those feelings to avoid that altercation and avoid that fight and that battle. Um, and eventually I did come to a solid realization of the fact that I had been being manipulated for so long. And so today I want to help you start to notice those yeses and those nos. Keep in mind that self-trust is often very quiet. It's not a loud voice, and it can feel like a soft expansion or a subtle contraction. It's not going to be a big sign, it's not going to be flashy, it's just going to be something soft. And so at this time, we're going to practice. Okay, so we're going to practice noticing our yeses and our nos. Okay, so I again want you to settle in, get back to that position of comfortability where you feel safe and you feel held by the ground below you. And we're going to all close our eyes. We're going to take a few breaths and just bring our attention back to our bodies. And I want you to think of a clear yes. So this could be a person, it could be a place, it could be a food that you love to eat, something that is a clear yes. And while you think of that clear yes, I want you to notice what is happening in your chest. Is your body leaning forward? Is your breath expanding? Is anything happening with your shoulders? Just notice, what does that clear yes feel like? Okay, so now I want you to take a minute and think of a clear no. So again, could be a person, could be a place, could be a food, it could be an experience, a bad experience you had. And what does that no feel like? Does your body pull back? Are you noticing any tightness or contraction? What's going on with your breath? And we're just noticing right now. We're not trying to fix anything. And the idea now is to let your body show you you are not in control. Let your body show you what is a yes and what is a no. And we're going to shift back. I want you to think again of that. Think again about your clear yes, that person, that place, that food, what's happening. I'm feeling aligned when I think of my yes. My body is pulling upright, almost like my head feels like it's pulling towards the sky. And I'm thinking about snuggling with my son. That's my clear yes. That's my experience. And this feels good. This feels safe. This feels very aligned from the floor all the way up to the ceiling. And you might feel something different. You might not feel your yes feel exactly like this. Maybe you feel your shoulders relax and your face relax. Maybe you feel just easy breathing. Not everybody's yes is going to feel the same. So take a minute and keep thinking about that yes. Notice all the feelings. Take a deep breath. And now let's move to that clear no. And for me, my clear no feels like my body tenses and contracts. My shoulders are coming forward. My head is falling forward. I feel very closed almost. So my yes feels open and my no feels closed. And again, yours might feel different. And it's okay to allow that difference. And sit with this no, even though it might be uncomfortable. We're going to sit with it and remember, try to train ourselves to know what this feels like. Okay, now take one deep breath. We're going to go back to that yes. Think about your yes. And then back again one more time to that no. Beautiful. Okay, now I want you to bring yourself back to just yourself. So we're not thinking about the yes, we're not thinking about the no, we're just bringing ourselves back to our bodies. Few more deep breaths. Okay, and bring yourself back to the room now. So slowly open your eyes. Open your eyes. Maybe just look at one thing when you first open. Okay. So we're going to do a quick little reflection. I want to know what we noticed. So we're going to take about 10 minutes. So pull out your journal and you can write down as your title, yes versus no, yes slash no. Um, or you can make like a T table where one side says yes, one side says no. And I'd like us to just kind of compare the two. So we're going to spend about 10 minutes doing this. So on one side, you're going to have, or if you'd like, you can do your yeses first and then your nos, whatever feels best for you, whatever's going to help you compartmentalize these two very different feelings. Um, so we're going to start with the question, what did you notice? What did you notice about your yes? And what did you notice about your no? While we do this, I'm going to put some light drumming on, maybe help us reconnect a little bit more. And if at any moment you feel like you can't remember what you were feeling, feel free to just close your eyes and feel that yes or feel that no again. And that might help bring you back to that moment so you can jot down those notes. The next thing I want you to focus on is, did one of those, yes or no, did one feel clearer than the other? Was there one that felt you could clearly feel that yes or clearly feel that no? And what was that like for you? And the last thing I want you to take a few notes on is, did anything surprise you? Is there anything in there that surprised you? And after we take these notes, we will do a quick little discussion. I would like to hear from you guys. I'm sure it'd be helpful to hear from each other as well. I want you to remember that whatever you experienced or didn't experience, you might have had a hard time feeling either the yes or the no. All of those are normal things. So whatever your experience was, it's okay. So just allow your experience to be what it was. And the more you practice, the more your body will feel more like home, more safe, and you'll be able to sense those feelings a lot easier. So I want to invite you, if you felt like you didn't feel anything, to keep doing this practice and keep coming back to it and give your body the opportunities to talk to you, because the more opportunities it has, the more you will start to be able to connect and to feel those things. So we're gonna we would do a quick little 5-minute discussion here, but since I don't actually have participants, I'm going to move forward into the next portion. So here I want you to remember that your body is your compass, and the way it guides you may feel very subtle at first, but again, that practice is going to build clarity. So if you cannot feel certain things, if you cannot feel the yes, you cannot feel the no, continue to allow your body the opportunity to share with you. So my question for you now is, where in your life could you pause and check on your yes or your no this week? It could be something very small, like, what am I going to eat for breakfast? Am I going to have cereal for breakfast? Feel what it feels like. Does it feel like a yes? Does it feel like a no? What about eggs? Does eggs feel like a yes or a no? So you can practice with very small things. It doesn't have to be a huge, important decision like, where am I going to live? It could be very small. So I want to invite you to figure out one place where you can practice your yes and no this week. At this point in the workshop, I would have each participant share one small boundary or decision that they would like to practice this week, their yes and their no. Okay, so you guys do not need to trust yourself in big decisions yet. Again, I want to remind you, start small, breakfast, lunch, dinner, what book you're going to read next. It doesn't have to be something big. It can be something small. And remember that self-trust is built in repetition. So the more we allow our bodies to speak to us, the more we learn how to speak to it. Think about a baby learning to talk. Okay. The more opportunities they have to chat with you and to talk, the faster they're going to learn, right? So the more opportunities you give your body to speak to you, the more you learn to understand it. We're going to do a quick little closing meditation, a few more minutes. So go ahead and close your eyes. Deep breath in and out. Notice the contact of your feet, your bottom or your back on the ground. What does your body want to do right now? I'm feeling my body's telling me to stretch. So I'm going to stretch. This serves as a reminder to honor your body. It'll tell you what it needs. You just simply have to listen. Bring your attention to your heart center. And if you need to put your hands at your heart center to help with that connection, you can do that. And I want you to remind yourself that you are loved and you are safe. Go ahead and take one big deep breath in again. And out. I want you to bring your attention back slowly to the world around you. Notice the backs of your eyelids before you open your eyes. And then slowly open, only focusing on one object in front of you. Keep breathing. I want you guys to thank yourselves for showing up for yourselves today. And remember, this process is definitely a process. It's not easy and it's not always black and white. One day it might be really easy to notice how you're feeling, and one day it might be really, really hard. So keep in mind that the practice is a practice. And there's going to be days that are easy. There's going to be days that are hard. There's going to be days that you forget what you're even doing. So just remember that your ability to trust yourself was never gone. You've always been capable. Your body's just been waiting for you to listen. Okay, it's always been there. You've always had this. And we can come back to it and come back to it and come back to it. And bring that awareness to it and notice it. And that's how we grow and that's how we learn to listen to ourselves. We're again going to take a short, quick break, and I will see you guys back in about 5 minutes. Hello, and welcome back, everybody. All right, this next portion of the workshop may feel a little bit deeper. So we are going to do a brief little grounding, bring ourselves back to, I don't know what just happened in the last 5 minutes, but hopefully we are coming back in a safe place, feeling safe and feeling warmth from the group. Before we begin, we're going to take just a moment to come back into the body. So go ahead and place your feet on the floor. If you're seated on the floor, just feel that comfortable seat. We're going to take one slow breath. Let it out and let your body notice that contact to the ground below you, however that looks. I think I need one more, so let's do one more breath. And release. Notice that contact and what that feels like for the ground or your seat to be holding you, supporting you. And hopefully you feel that support throughout the room. Bring yourself back to the room, slowly opening your eyes. Okay, so this module of the workshop is going to focus on shame. And I realize that this topic can feel pretty vulnerable for some of us. There may have been times in your past where shame has been almost overcoming, taking over your body. And um, some of us may have been put in a really, really dark place because of shame that has taken over. So I want you to remember that everything that we do here is optional. So if you feel like it's too much or you might not want to participate, you can opt out at any moment. Also, feel free to go at your own pace. You don't have to keep moving with us as we move into like the different portions of the module. So, shame is very, very common in these experiences. And as we kind of dive into it, it might bring up um, things that feel hard or things that feel like they might be too much. So I just want you to remember that you don't have to go any deeper than feel safe in this container that we have here. So shame is often in these experiences and it often develops as protection. Okay, so nothing that comes up today is wrong. I don't want you to feel shame over what's coming up today. Okay, we are all here, we're all in this together. We've all experienced shame at one point or another. Um, so again, just remember this is a safe space. You can participate as much as you want or as little as you want. And again, you are welcome to go at your own pace. You do not have to keep moving with us. So, shame is something that's learned. It's not who you are, it doesn't define you. It often comes from either criticism, control, or maybe being told you were too much, or you're not enough, or you're not good enough, or maybe you didn't get attention unless you performed perfectly. Okay, so again, it's not something that defines us. It's something that we've learned based on our experiences with people either we looked up to or we loved or we were wanting some sort of affection from. It lives in the body. Okay, shame sometimes feels like a collapse or it feels like a tightness or it makes us feel like we want to hide. Okay, kind of my body wants to do this when I think of shame, like I want to look down. And many of us were taught to ignore it or push it away or judge it. Um, when we were feeling embarrassed, we were told, I have a perfect example of this. My son, he lately has been dealing with shame when it comes to sports. Um, he has for some reason developed this fear and huge embarrassment when he makes a mistake at when they're playing games. So we were playing football, me and my three boys were playing football outside, and my middle one ran out of bounds. And his older brother said, "Oh, you're out of bounds." And he blew up and got mad and said, "I'm not playing anymore." And he ran inside. So his later, when I talked to him, I said, "Well, what was going on? Why did you want to come inside?" And he said, "I was embarrassed." And, when you think about that, you ran out of bounds. I mean, like NFL players run out of bounds all the time. There's no need to be embarrassed for that. But he has developed this shame around this criticism maybe he received at school, like he wasn't good at football. And so then when he ran out of bounds and did something wrong, it was embarrassing for him. And so now he's feeling shame and he's running and hiding or, trying to get away from the situation. And and I want us to think about this healing situation that we are facing right now. It's not about removing shame. I don't want to say like don't ever feel shame. You can't ever feel shame, but we should attempt to change our relationship to it. So instead of meeting that shame with rejection of, oh, I'm going to run away and hide and I don't want to deal with it, we can meet it with curiosity about why am I feeling this way and where did this come from? So instead of my son running away from football and, saying he didn't want to play anymore, we can talk about it, which we did end up talking about it later. We talked about it. Why do you feel shame? And have that a conversation of, this is not something to feel shame about and where did that come from? And meeting that shame with curiosity helped him learn something about himself. When he's making a mistake in sports, he can laugh it off and be like, "Oh, I didn't know that that was out of bounds." Or, there's different things we can do. Um, but the idea here is that shame makes us want to disappear. And what happens if we don't push it away? What happens if we feel that feeling of, oh, I want to run away, and then think, wait, why do I want to run away? And why am I feeling like this? And why am I feeling like I want to hide right now? Where did that come from? What voice is behind that feeling or that thought? So, if we can meet that shame with curiosity instead of rejection, we can actually learn about ourselves and we can grow. And that's the point here, right? We always want to be growing. So, what we're going to practice now is sitting with shame gently. So, I want to invite you to bring forward to your memory a very mild moment of maybe you felt self-conscious or embarrassed. Not something overwhelming, but just a moment where you might have been a little bit embarrassed. Give you a minute to think of something. I know sometimes it's hard to find something that's mild. You might be automatically going to the most embarrassing moment in your life, and that might not be, it might be okay, but it might not be the one you want to use if you don't want to go that deep with it just yet. The one I'm thinking about is um, I had told my son there was a kid that was being mean to him at school. And I had told him, maybe just don't play with that kid, play with other kids that are nice. And so, anyways, we went to a birthday party a day or two after I told him that. And that other child that had been mean to him was there. And my son had told his friend that his mom told him not to play with that kid anymore. And so then the kid whose birthday it was came over to me in front of all these parents and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Madison, that I invited so and so to my birthday." And I was so embarrassed because obviously there was a story that it wasn't a bad story, but I was trying to protect my child. And I'm sitting here thinking like, oh, all these parents probably think I'm a monster of a mom because I don't like this kid or whatever the story was in my head. And I can't remember, it was several years ago now, but I do remember sitting there and just wanting to hide. Um, and so as I'm thinking about it, I'm feeling it in my chest. And, I automatically go like this because I'm I'm closing, right? So, what's happening in your body? I want you to take a moment and think about your embarrassing moment and what's happening in your body. Are you also going like this and trying to hide? And we're just noticing, we're not trying to fix anything. Okay, now as you feel that feeling inside of you, can you give that area about 5% more space? You don't have to give it a lot, just let it be there and don't try to constrict that feeling. Just let it be there. Maybe give it some more room to be. And can we let it be here without pushing it away? And add in some deep breathing. We're going to inhale and exhale. And just stay with that sensation. You don't have to think about the story, just think about the sensation inside of you. And let it be there. Remember that you're in control of how deep you go. You can step out at any time. Okay, now I want you to bring your self back to the room and pull your journal out. And again, you can title this section Shame or whatever you would like. Maybe it's something catchy about your embarrassing moment. What did you notice? What did you notice? Go ahead and write that down now. What did you notice? I will put some of our music on. So, what did you notice? What did your body do when you thought about that shameful moment? Okay, and then did anything shift when you stopped resisting? When you stopped resisting that shame, did anything shift? And then what was it like to stay with that feeling? What did that feel like? Was it okay? Was it easier than you thought it was? What was it like? Now, if I had participants, we would spend about 10, 15 minutes in a discussion talking about these feelings where I would normalize what they were feeling and make sure that they felt comfortable. And I'd try to gently include some quieter participants and bring them into the room as well. Okay, so now we're going to do a quick little guided imagery. I want you to close your eyes. Close your eyes and imagine holding that feeling that you felt while imagining that embarrassing moment. Hold that feeling in your hands. And now imagine that you're standing in a meadow where the grass is cut pretty short so you can see your feet. And now take that feeling and bend over and place it on the ground. Right in front of you. And now I want you to watch what the earth does with that feeling. Okay, so now I'd like to do one more grounding experience. I want you to notice three things that you see, two things that you hear, and one thing that you feel. So nature can help you regulate and hold what feels heavy. So anytime you are feeling something heavy, you can always come back to this practice of holding that feeling in your hands and placing it on the ground in front of you and letting the earth do with that emotion what it will. And that can help you feel a little bit lighter, hopefully. So again, today in this module here, we focused on shame, and it can really feel it's an emotion that can really feel like it brings you down and brings you into a whole different place in life. But the thing about shame is that it loses its power when it's seen and felt safely. So when you allow it to be there and you hold it and you give it the space to be there, it doesn't have as much power to take over. You don't have to eliminate it. you can just build a new relationship with it. So the next time shame shows up, what could you do differently? So I'd like to give each of you an opportunity to name one supportive response. So the next time shame shows up, instead of having an argument with your partner or running away or hiding, what could you do differently? Remember, you're not trying to fix yourself, you're just learning how to stay with yourself. So what could you do differently? And I would give about 5 minutes for participants to share theirs here. I appreciate the courage that you guys have shared with me today. I know that showing up and facing some hard emotions is not an easy task. So the parts of you that feel shame are often the parts that needed the most care. And I want you to remember that. The parts of you that feel shame are often the parts that needed the most care. Remember that the next time that you're feeling shame and where you're feeling it, that's the part that needs the most care. So we're going to take one slow breath together. And exhale. And we're going to stop for lunch now. So I will see you guys in about an hour and a half. Enjoy your break.